What's up, my guys and geeks? Sybil Trelawney from the Harry Potter universe is basically the least respected professor at Hogwarts.
Dear.
At least aside from those that don't take the position of defense against the dark arts.
If you don't mind to say, it was pretty obvious what you're about to do. You deserve to be punished.
And while there is, of course, Severus Snape, he's at least respected for the power and wizarding capability that he has.
Turn to page 394.
On the other hand, Professor Trelawney is seen as an absolute fraud and fool by everybody around her. And even the author of the series, J.K. Rowling, has acknowledged that Professor Trelawney is an absolute fraud. But basically every prediction Trelawney makes actually comes true.
What did he say?
And that's why I believe that Sybil Trelawney must have had a time turner. Today, we discuss. Before I go ahead and get started, don't forget to let me know in the comments down below what you think of this idea. Do you think that Trelawney could have had a time turner? And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so we can make more awesome Harry Potter theory videos. Right off the bat, we have to explain exactly what time turners are. Time turners are devices created of unknown origin, but essentially they allow the user to travel back in time by turning the time turner. We saw Hermione use a time turner in year 3 when she time traveled in order to take all the classes that she had chosen to take on.
This is a time turner, Harry.
And we also learned that all time turners were destroyed at the Ministry of Magic during the Battle of the Department of Mysteries. And no, we are absolutely not counting the cursed child as canon. Don't even get me started.
Oh, gross.
So, it seems like we have a bit of a problem here, that all time turners were destroyed at the Ministry of Magic, so how is it possible that Professor Trelawney has one? Well, I believe that Professor Trelawney has had this time turner ever since she was hired at Hogwarts.
Sneaky soy sauce.
Because Dumbledore goes back to their interview when he's revealing how Professor Snape hid outside the door and actually overheard Sybil giving the prophecy during her interview for Hogwarts with Dumbledore. And Professor Trelawney is accepted into Hogwarts by Professor Dumbledore only because he wants to protect her, because he knows, but she doesn't realize that she's given the prophecy about Harry and Voldemort. So she is accepted into the castle despite being acknowledged by basically everybody around her, especially Professor McGonagall, as a complete fraud.
She's completely bonkers.
But actually, all of her prophecies end up coming true. We see this on the very first day of class where she prophesies that somebody will leave the class around Easter, turns out to be Hermione, that Neville will break one of the cups that is being used to look at the tea grounds, which he does, and that the thing that Lavender is dreading most will happen, which actually comes to pass not in the form of her bunny dying, but in Sirius Black breaking into the Gryffindor common room.
It's him, Headmaster. The one they all talk about. Sirius Black!
So we see throughout the entire series that Professor Trelawney makes entirely accurate predictions. But if she's a complete fraud, which she has been declared and decided to be, then how is it at all possible that she's making accurate predictions? It can't be that everybody's wrong, because we see what happens when she actually makes a prophecy. It happens 2 times, one when she makes the prophecy about Harry and Voldemort, and the other time during Prisoner of Azkaban when she makes the prophecy about Peter Pettigrew escaping and returning to Voldemort. And both times she goes into a trance, her voice changes, and she's completely unconscious of what she said afterwards.
Tonight, he who betrayed his friends whose heart rots with murder, innocent blood shall be spilt, and servant and master shall be reunited once more.
So ultimately, she must have had a time turner because that's the only way she can accurately be predicting these events. I believe that Professor Trelawney has taken this time turner that she somehow stole from the Ministry of Magic, and she's using it because she knows that she can't actually make predictions, but she wants people to believe in her capabilities. And she is traveling into the future, seeing events that play out, and traveling back in time and revealing them as her prophecies to prove her actual seer abilities.
It's a conspiracy.
And ultimately, the main problem with this theory is that we actually have acknowledged that the time turners do age you up, that you do age the amount of time you travel through time when using a time turner. And I actually don't think that this is entirely true. While it is stated on Pottermore that you do age up when you use a time turner, thus far we've only seen them be used to travel back in time. If Professor Trelawney somehow managed to figure out how to use a time turner to travel forward in time, whether she actually made that discovery by herself, whether it was an accident that she accidentally stumbled upon, or whether that's a feature of the time turners that we just haven't heard about, she travels forward in time, and as a result, she actually doesn't age because she's not going back in time and then having to re-age up the time she went back. Instead, she would actually be de-aging. She would actually be gaining time.
Win-win.
And that's why she's able to make these accurate predictions. She travels forward in time, understands future events, and then goes back to her present date and reveals them. And I really think that this does explain why Professor Trelawney is able to so accurately predict pretty much everything in the series. But then other times when we see her trying to make predictions, such as when she interprets Harry seeing a hippogriff in his tea leaves as the hippogriff being decapitated, and she's almost certain that harm has come to this hippogriff. Of course, she's wrong because she's not actually a seer. She's not actually making prophecies. She can only speak as to what she's seen when she travels forward in time. Hermione might be the only person who would be qualified to be able to notice this and be able to discover this and reveal Professor Trelawney for what she is, but Hermione ends up leaving the class. If Dumbledore knew, then obviously he didn't think it was necessary to tell anybody, and he didn't think it was necessary to stop Professor Trelawney. But ultimately, Professor Trelawney must have had a time turner, and that's why, despite being a kook and a complete and total fraud, she's still able to predict so much of the series accurately. Okay, don't forget to let me know in the comments down below what you think of this theory. Do you think that Professor Trelawney actually had a time turner? Is that how she's able to so accurately predict every single activity within the entire series? Or is she really just a very lucky kook?
I'm so sorry, dear boy. Did you say something?
Be sure to let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you can see the next time I upload a fun Harry Potter video. If you want to figure out why Harry couldn't see the Thestrals until year 5, you can look on this side of the screen. And if you want to see me rank my 20 favorite Harry Potter characters, spoiler, Trelawney definitely doesn't make the list, then you can click on this side of the screen. But you only got 3 seconds because the video's about to end. 2, 1, audio!